Hi everyone, my name is Colleen, and today's topic we're going to be talking about how to be a good lead dental assistant. You may remember a few weeks ago I did a stream on being a lead dental assistant, and I talked a lot about what that means essentially, what a lead dental assistant is, how it compares to a dental assistant, some of the skills you need to be a lead dental assistant, and also what can be expected of you if you become a lead dental assistant, if you're promoted into that position, or if you gain a new position as a lead dental assistant, some of the expectations of the roles and responsibilities that kind of come with that. So if you haven't watched that stream, I definitely recommend that you go back and watch it. It's got a lot of great information about being a lead dental assistant. Okay. But today's topic, we're talking about how to be a good lead dental assistant. Okay. So Princess Dental Staffing asked dental assistants and employers what makes a good lead dental assistant. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, some of the attributes and just giving you some of the feedback and the information that they shared with Princess Dental Staffing, just so you know how to be a good lead dental assistant. Just more information to kind of think about and consider if you're thinking of becoming a lead dental assistant and deciding whether or not that's for you, right? Or if you are a lead dental assistant, how to be the best you absolutely can be at it. Okay, so that's what we're talking about today. Um, but before I dive too deeply into that, just want to remind everyone that Princess Dental Staffing is an online dental job board, and they have positions available for dental receptionists, dental assistants, dental hygienists, and dentists in a lot of different areas. They've got full time and part time and temporary and permanent roles. Okay, so if you have some time today, hop onto princessdentalstaffing.com and see what positions they have available in your area. You can also create a profile, get your information in front of hiring managers and decision makers. And you can check out their blog, which covers a lot of the same topics that we cover in these live streams. And of course, these live streams, we are bringing them to you each week on Wednesday. So if you don't want to miss out on future streams, be sure to follow our page or subscribe to our channel. If you like the content that we're bringing you, please do drop us a like. And if you want to be part of the conversation, drop us a comment, with any questions or thoughts or insights or anything to add to the information that we're bringing you. Okay? All right, so let's talk about how to be a good lead dental assistant. Okay, so again, Princess Dental Staffing went to some dental assistants and also employers and asked them what they think makes a good lead dental assistant. So let's kind of go through some of the things that they said were really high on the list of things that you need to be a good lead dental assistant. Number one, maintaining a positive attitude, right? That was definitely a big one. It's really easy as a lead dental assistant to kind of get really overwhelmed by the details and the operations and everything that kind of go on day to day. Okay, so it's really, really easy to kind of get, bogged down into all of that. But as a lead dental assistant, you still want to maintain that positive attitude because a positive attitude is contagious, right? Having a positive attitude, a positive outlook, and just a very solutions oriented attitude towards daily operations can really not only help you as the lead dental assistant feel more positive as you go throughout the day, but also your team as well, which is definitely very important as well. One suggestion that was suggested for maintaining a positive attitude was to eliminate negative self-talk, right? And that kind of happens to everybody, right? At some point, especially at work and especially during the day, at some point you may find yourself, just really getting into that negative self-talk, that negative voice in your head that tells you that everything isn't going to be okay, or everything is this, that, or the other thing. We all have our individual self-talk. So negative self-talk. So one of the ways to kind of help maintain that positive attitude is to squash that, right? So eliminating that negative self-talk, maybe by doing things like when you notice the negative self-talk, you notice that kind of message kind of over and over again in your head, really kind of maybe challenging it, or just saying, you know what, that's simply not true, or it doesn't have to be that way, and just kind of squashing it, right? Before it gets to be, too much and too overwhelming. Okay, so that's a really great way to maintain a positive attitude. If you have anything else that works for you, and to help you kind of maintain that positive attitude, be sure to comment below and share with the class, right? Okay. Number two, leading by example, right? So, as a lead dental assistant, not only are you going to be kind of overseeing a lot of operations and making sure things get done, but you're also going to be dental assisting, right? So, you want to lead by example, be the dental assistant that you want everyone else to kind of emulate, right? Rolling up your sleeves, showing people, what you're doing, great way to kind of lead by example, and by leading by example, you can absolutely help build that trust in your team, by kind of having those confidence in your dental assisting skills, right? So those are great ways to lead by example, and like I said, really build that trust with your team, and have your team members want to follow you, right, and want to be led by you. Okay. And there was a really great quote that came up when Princess Dental Staffing was asking all of these interviewees, what makes a great lead dental assistant is someone that doesn't see anything above or below their pay grade. Think if it's to be, it's up to me. Right. So that was a really great quote that I wanted to share because I think it definitely demonstrates what we're talking about here, leading by example, right? Nothing is above you or below you, right? As a lead dental assistant, it's all about facilitating these continued operations and these, progressive operations. Okay. Next, avoid micromanagement. Okay, we've all had at least one job or will have at least one job where we've been micromanaged. It's not fun, right? It's not fun because it really does it breeds that distrust, right? When you've been micromanaged, you know how it feels, right? It feels like you can't be trusted to do even the basics of your job, right? You feel like there's someone always kind of like over your shoulder, double checking everything that you do and just looking for mistakes, right? Um, which are there because let's face it, we're human beings and we all make mistakes sometimes, and you don't get the choice to, or you don't get the option to correct those. So, avoiding micromanagement can avoid breeding that kind of distrust and that resentment in your team, and instead can really help, not only build trust, but also to allow your team members to find ways to correct those mistakes. You can't avoid mistakes, but if you allow your team members to kind of correct them and overcome them, that really helps build their skills so that they can avoid it in the future. And it also lets your team know that you trust them, that you believe in their skills, and that you have the confidence in them to carry out their duties the best way possible. Hi, Cass. Thanks for stopping in and say hi. All right, next, give constructive criticism. Okay. So far we've told you to lead by example, but avoid micromanagement, but also give constructive criticism, right? It's a lot. It's really kind of a balancing act for a lead dental assistant to sort of balance being a leader, but not too much, essentially, right? So, giving constructive criticism, and me saying just giving constructive criticism, it might be kind of overwhelming, kind of a lot, right? Lead by example, but also be more hands off, don't micromanage, give feedback, but make sure it's positive, all those sorts of things, right? But I think, in this one, give constructive criticism, I think the main word, the operative word here is constructive, right? Useful criticism, criticism that someone can do something with in order to better themselves and be a better dental assistant or whatever for the office, right? The operative word there, I think, is constructive. So when you're giving that criticism, when you're giving that feedback as a lead dental assistant, it's really important to remember that you are talking to a person, right? A person that has, strengths and flaws, and that, is a person just like you, right? And that you want to encourage that person to be better while also patting them on the back for the things that they have done, that they are doing well and that they can do well. So when it comes to constructive criticism, I definitely think that's kind of an important thing to remember. It's about helping them improve themselves, not necessarily pointing out every little thing that they did wrong and telling them to fix it, right? And also, I think part of constructive criticism is giving them advice and help when they ask for it on how to improve certain skills as well. Okay. But the operative thing here, the main takeaway here is to give criticism without being disrespectful, without making others feel small, without making others feel like you are better than they are. Right. So I think that's just a really important thing to kind of keep in mind when you're giving that constructive criticism. And in that way, I think you'll find that really that balance, right? That is really so important in balancing all of this feedback, right? Next, be a team player, okay? Yes, you're leading the team, but that means you're still part of the team, right? You're still being a lead dental assistant means that you are still a part of a team, you're still part of the office. So it's really important to be a team player, to offer assistance when assistance is needed or when you can, step in and really be helpful when at all possible. And that means being communicative and being positive and all these other things that we've kind of already been talking about already. Okay, so again, another important thing to remember that even though you are leading a team, you are still part of the team, which means being a team player is crucial to the success of your team. Okay. Next, set realistic goals. Okay. So it's really important that your goals for not just yourself, but also your team and also the office are realistic and achievable, right? Setting an unrealistic goal can just set your team up for failure. And sometimes some team members will be resentful, can be resentful that they were kind of set up for failure, or some team members will actually kind of internalize that, right? And they'll think, gosh, why can't I do this? In any event, no matter how they react, it is just, sort of an invitation for setting unrealistic goals is really just kind of an invitation for dysfunction, right? And kind of resentment and negativity and those sorts of things. So making sure that your goals are realistic. And I think one of the things that is important about setting, realistic goals. Again, I think that's the operative word in this: realistic goals. Okay, that's the word there. Realistic goals. And I think a lot of that has to do with understanding your team members' strengths and weaknesses, right? A goal for one person is not necessarily going to be realistic for somebody else, right? A realistic goal for one person may not be so realistic for someone else. So you may have to break it down into smaller chunks, smaller steps in order to help that person get to that goal, or even your team as a whole to get to a certain goal. Okay, so make sure that your goals are realistic. Don't be afraid to challenge your team. Don't be afraid to set the bar a little higher, but make sure that those goals are realistic, that they are achievable, and that will really help your team progress. Okay. Next on the list, RESPECT, respect, making sure that you're respecting your team, respecting your patients, respecting your office. Okay, so respect is, very important to help build relationships. Again, not just with your team, but also with your patients and with your leadership, with your office as a whole. Okay, so um, being respectful is another great way to be a team player. One of the things that was pointed out um, by an employer, Todd Nickel of Simi Smile Studio, um, he shared that one area of respect that is particularly important to employers is respecting and fitting into the culture of the practice, right? So respecting the culture of the practice, fitting into to the culture of the practice, and again, just being that team player is a great way to demonstrate respect. It's a great way to help build those positive relationships, those trusting relationships that are so crucial to being able to lead a team, right? And one of the other things that makes you a great lead dental assistant, okay? Next on the list, be honest, right? That one seems a little bit on the nose, but it's definitely an important one. It definitely deserves um, to be on the list, right? Being honest, being transparent, having effective communications, owning up to a mistake and correcting it. All of those sorts of things lend to being honest. And again, being honest is a great way to help build those relationships that you need in order to continue the functions of the office. Okay. Next on the list, being patient, right? Being a leader means you have to be patient, right? You're dealing with a lot of different people, a lot of different personalities, and you're trying to orchestrate all of these operations with all diverse people from different walks of life, right? So being patient is really, really crucial, especially when you're dealing with patients, right? Got a lot of different people that you're working with on a daily basis. Some of them are, returning patients, some of them are brand new, but it's important to be patient, right? And um uh, to um have that sort of empathy when it comes to, relating to other people, your team members, your patients, etc. Okay. Also, as the sort of lead dental assistant, you're kind of in the middle, right? You're kind of a liaison quite a bit, and I think that's something that we kind of discovered in the previous stream that I referenced at the beginning of this stream. Um, that you're essentially a liaison between dental assistants, between your leadership, between your other team members, between your patients, right? You're kind of the liaison. You're the person that orchestrates all of this chaos into something workable, right? So being patient is really important um, in order to ensure that things work more smoothly, right? Not everything is going to work on your timeline, and it's important to be patient and realize that that timeline will progress if you just deal with the thing that's right in front of you. Okay. Next, demonstrate active listening. Okay. So, active listening, and I don't think we've talked about this for a while, but we have talked about active listening before on previous streams. It is so, so important to be an active listener. Right? Because being an active listener means you're communicating effectively, which helps facilitate those operations. But what does active listening look like? What is that exactly? Active listening, it's not just about talking and actually hearing what the other person is saying. It's about um, ensuring effective communication. It's about listening to understand as opposed to waiting for your turn to respond. Right? Actually hearing what the other person is saying. And if you don't understand, doing things like asking follow up questions or saying something to the effect of, okay, so what I'm hearing is, what I heard you say is, just to make sure that you are clarifying. It also looks like verbal cues, right? So, like nodding your head, making positive comments, summarizing points during a conversation. All of those things lend to active listening. Definitely use of body language, maintaining eye contact, leaning forward towards the speaker. All of these things culminate into active listening, which culminates into effective communication. Okay. Next, demonstrating empathy, right? And this is kind of, this one again seems a little bit on the nose, but it definitely fits with the theme of the things that we're talking about, things like active listening, being patient, all those things, right? Having empathy for a dental assistant is really important anyway, just because you are working with patients on a daily basis, and a lot of them can feel a little bit anxious or scared or frustrated sometimes when it can come to their oral health and hygiene. So having empathy as a lead dental assistant is definitely important as well, because you need to have that empathy with your team as well. And one of the great ways to demonstrate empathy is active listening, just like we talked about, practicing self awareness, recognizing your own emotions. All of these things really support your ability to demonstrate empathy. Okay. Now, if you're having a little bit of difficulty empathizing with another person, ask yourself questions like these. What is this person feeling? Or what do I think this person is feeling? How would I feel if, ABC situation happened to me? Right? What might be going through this person's mind right now? And again, use those active listening skills to either confirm or deny um, if you're right or not. Okay. And even if you're wrong, that's an opportunity to gather more information to actually understand the situation better. Okay. But empathy definitely goes a long way, not just for your patients, but also for your team and being able to lead them. All right, next, getting everyone organized, right? You're orchestrating a lot of different patients, a lot of different operations. So it's important that you're able to get them organized, right? In order to make those operations run more smoothly and to make everyone's day easier, really. It's so much easier when you're in an office that is organized as opposed to one that is disorganized, right? If you've ever worked in a really disorganized office, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Everything just takes so much more time to do. So, as a lead dental assistant, you have the opportunity to help get everyone organized. And that might mean doing things like creating systems to help keep you organized, decluttering work areas, helping other people improve their time management skills. Okay, all of those sorts of things really help to organize the office and operations as a whole. Okay. And next, and finally, last one on the list, drum roll, please, be adaptable. Okay. Again, another one that's a little bit on the nose, but it is something that is very important and definitely fits in with the theme, right? As a lead dental assistant, you don't necessarily know what the day is going to look like from day to day or what issues are going to arise that you're going to have to resolve. You don't know who's going to call out. You don't know how patients are going to show up, all of those sorts of things. So, and of course, it's encouraged that you make best effort to put systems and fail safes in place to avoid issues, but you can never 100% avoid problems and issues and obstacles. Okay, so that's why it's important to be adaptable, right? It's important to be flexible and be able to go with the flow sometimes and kind of work through something and use some of those creative critical thinking skills to work out an issue in a way that may be a little bit different from, what you've had to do before. Okay, so being adaptable is definitely key in being a lead dental assistant, a good lead dental assistant. Okay. Alrighty, so that is what Princess Dental Staffing found in asking dental assistants and employers what makes a good lead dental assistant. So we definitely hope that this feedback has helped you either determine whether or not you want to be a good lead dental assistant, or maybe suggested some areas that you may want to work on in order to be a better lead dental assistant. Right. So either way, really hope that this live stream was helpful to you. Okay. So that will do it for me today, everyone. I will be back next week with a new topic covering your career in the dental industry. But until then, I hope everyone has a great week. Have a great weekend. Continue to stay safe out there. See you soon.